Making the playoffs and doing it as, and doing it in the fashion that they did.
Beach and I'm not claiming it that way, but we might hear what I believe a lot in what Nick Saban said towards the end of his career, which is adapt or die. So we always continue to adapt, and we go in the mornings. Not a lot of people do that. I mean, obviously, you're proud of the idea that we just celebrated 100 years of football here. So the tradition part is important, but I think that kind of separates it a little bit. I have a personal rule. If I live in Lebanon, if we don't win, I don't wear my Mount Juliet stuff in Lebanon. They took that from me. The honor is theirs. If we win, I wear whatever I want to wear. As much as it grows, as transient as it is, there's still tradition here. I think that it makes it unique. There's not that many places left that expand the way it has, but holds on to the community aspect of it, and that's pretty cool.
Growth-wise, Mount Juliet is past Lebanon. My grandmother, they lived forever before they moved to Lebanon. They lived on Posey Hill Road. And I used to play on Posey Hill Road when it was a gravel road and it wasn't paved. We actually had horses down there. She had all the grandkids we had. It was 2 horses, and we called it the country. And it was not very big. And then they hit a massive growth spurt.
Mount Juliet is a booming community. The programs, when the school split, when they opened Green Hill High School, boys and girls basketball were impacted by that seriously. Baseball has not really noticed that impact, and football has held in there, and they've had good success.
That's kind of an interesting fact too, and doesn't get talked about a lot. But Mount Juliet's been split twice in the last 20 to 25 years, and we're the only ones had that happen.
Even when the new schools get on the block, when Wilson Central comes about, when Green Hill comes about, they're gunning for Lebanon and Mount Juliet. So even if those schools have the upper hand at any point, there's never been a time where Lebanon and then Mount Juliet weren't the 2 old established powers in schools in Wilson County. So everyone that comes in is gunning to take them down, which leads to those 2 schools butting heads a lot and being the oldest established rivalry in the county. I always refer to Mount Juliet Lebanon as the old school battle for Wilson County for that reason, because those were the 2 original ones that hated each other. But when Wilson Central came about, that was a year after I graduated from Mount Juliet. I would have been zoned for Wilson Central. That would have changed my outlook on things. Then Green Hill High School comes about, and they're a big power now also in a lot of sports. So I definitely think it's diminished it, but it really hasn't taken away from that older feeling for the Lebanon Mount Juliet rivalry.
Well, I mean, if you're just saying raw data, we won 11 times in a row, I think, and then we got split and lost 2 in a row. So, but let me say this, those were 2 very good Lebanon football teams. We had a very good Mount Juliet football team in 2018 and had to scrape and claw to get out of that game because we turned the ball over 7 times, which anybody will do in any game if that's the case. I'll put it to you like this. I think it's the best way to answer this question, and it probably goes a little bit beyond Lebanon and Mount Juliet, but in 2021, when Green Hill had first opened in 2020 and we split, and 2021 was really the first effects that we may have felt from it. We started out 6-0 and lost our last 5 to go 6-5. And in that moment, I've never had a 5-game losing streak. I've never been really a part of that. It was gloom, doom, and despair. probably to the detriment for me of that senior class, and that's a mistake that I look back on, because honestly, in retrospect, I don't think we ever should have won 6 games. I think we did a heck of a job, and sometimes you go back and you think about it like that, and probably some games we were in that we shouldn't have been, So Lebanon had 2 really good teams in 21-22, and then we had the wild one this past year. So
I think now there is a good amount of respect between the 2 programs, Lebanon and Mount Juliet. Trey Perry, head coach at Mount Juliet, and Chuck Gentry, head coach at Lebanon, they get along fine. And Trey, his dad, Trey's a 2nd generation head coach at Mount Juliet High School. His dad, Roger Perry, was the head coach of the field at Mount Juliet, is named for Roger. Trey grew up probably with a whistle around his neck.
Roger Perry's a guy I met when I started working at high school football locally on radio. Great guy, really welcomed me back into the whole Mount Juliet family after I graduated from college and moved back. And then his son Trey has been equally as nice to me, has done a terrific job. I mean, I think in an open enrollment era, if you're looking at a place to go, having an established name, knowing you have that track record of success is going to help you with prospective athletes. I think if you're zoned for Mount Juliet and you go there, you know you're getting a proven winner in Coach Perry and his dad being a part of it for so many years as well. So I think it does nothing but helps Mount Juliet to have that name around.
my dad has been 3 places. Well, he had a little stint after he retired of coaching a freshman team in Kentucky, and that's another story for another time. But as a head coach, Westmoreland, Portland, and Mount Juliet, and I tell people all the time, it amazes me the turnarounds that he had in all 3 places and how fast it happened. Obviously, I've learned a ton from him. I still learn a ton from him, but the pressure's not there anymore because he allows me to do what I do. I tell people all the time, if I am doing my best work, it's when I've got, if you can picture a line, my left foot is in old school and my right foot's in new school. Because I think there's got to be some kind of balance there to be able to get across to. And again, hiring people younger than me helps me stay with one foot in new school because I can keep up with some of those trends. And if I can't, I'll let them do it.
Friday nights are special in Middle Tennessee and in Wilson County. And when Lebanon and Mount Juliet get together, the student bodies are just nuts. Lebanon's kids, when they went to Mount Juliet, there probably wasn't very many bottles of or containers of this Johnson's baby powder, because they would bust those things open, and when Lebanon would score, whoosh, big clouds of white. And Mount Juliet student body, they would dress up. They've got a theme night, and their cheerleaders are flipping all over the field, and the bands are going crazy. It is quite a spectacle on Friday nights.
It's always been a cyclical rivalry. So one team will have the upper hand for 5 to 7 years. Another one will then sneak up on top. Lebanon's done a great job recently with Coach Gentry. Mount Juliet has been steady with Trey Perry, and you've seen Lebanon kind of rise up to that level. So I think it's going to be another fun one again this year. And I'm always waiting for that next inflection point to see if the rivalry shifts in one direction or the other. Maybe that's going to be this season.
It's what we're doing right now. You know, I mean, we're early April, and I've told people before, again, I don't believe in an off season, and I think that if you're playing it out the string, we've already played our first quarter of 2024. It's done. You know, so a big part of who wins in October will be a big part of who won from late November to early April. So that'd be my only prediction for 24.
To me, the center of Lebanon is focused around the square, and you know, as most towns were back in the day, but still today that's a prominent place of business. A lot of those people support us, and you know, when I think about Lebanon, you know, you think about the Cedar City and stuff like that. When I got this job, you know, I said I wanted to make hopefully shut the square down on Friday night, and then maybe end up back on the square after it was all over. The next thing for me would be the fairgrounds of the state fair, and the Wilson County Fair being a big thing, and being a destination, and the traffic that comes with that, good and bad.
People don't understand the magnitude of it. The fair, I mean, because it was always the first game of the year. It wasn't the middle of the season. It was the first. Everybody worked hard for that first game. A week up to it, it was the fair. Everybody kind of just went to the fair on Mondays or Tuesdays or Thursdays, and it would almost come to blows. And after the game, man, everybody was cool. But it was a rivalry, man.
Just the city in general. My grandfather, my enamorer for Lebanon was my grandfather worked at the rubber plant here. He retired from there, and when they would get off on Friday nights, they would come to Lebanon and watch the ball game. So he always talked about Lebanon football, and so with my wife graduating from here and then stuff like that, that's how I kind of thought about how do I get to Lebanon?
Lebanon has something that none of the other schools in Wilson County has. Lebanon is home of 2 housing projects. Those housing project kids come to Lebanon High. Some of these kids need a certain amount of attention. Transportation is sometimes an issue.
Right in the middle of Lebanon is not Five Oaks. It's not. However, in our locker room, the thing I love about football is when you get in the huddle, it doesn't matter how much money you got or how much money you don't got. It don't matter who your daddy is or who he's not. It don't matter. All that matters is there's 11 of you, and can you together collectively get the job done? When you're in the weight room, you get put two plates on each side, 225, and you're trying to bench it. You don't care. The bar doesn't care if you've ate or if you haven't ate. It doesn't care if you got a $100 bill in your pocket or if you've never had one in your pocket.
We got an old Blue Devil who runs a bread route. He brings us leftover bread, and there's peanut butter, there's jelly, there's Eat-A Snacks, there's Power Bars, there's little fruit cups, there's Lebanon has a sponsorship. Their Shop Springs Creamery is the official chocolate milk of Blue Devil football. They've got a cooler that once a week, Shop Springs Creamery fills that thing up. There's a doctor's office here in Lebanon that sponsors that.
I'm just thankful that Brother Darren took over that. Emmanuel Baptist Church has helped us. Tommy, Brian, and I don't remember the name. There's a storehouse that gives us stuff too, and it's just all the stuff and to see the kids appreciate it and need it and be able to give it to them, that's great. That's just like you'd think that chocolate milk is a $100 bill sometime.
My first memory was, 1987. I probably was the 7th grade, the 7th, maybe 6th. We would wear our jerseys, getting the game free, man, and this guy ended up being the best man in my wedding. Raymond Shockley played. Raymond Shockley, Tony Eckler, Earl Coggins, Jeff Crutchfield, man, all of those guys, Marcus Watkins, Mark Owens, all those guys played, man, and I actually was at that game. Lebanon hadn't beat, it was Coach Medley's first year. Lebanon hadn't beat Mount Juliet in 12 years, and that was the night, they got the monkey off their back. And I won't say it was 18-0, 19-0, and it was a shutout, and that kind of started Coach Medley's streak.
Then came a guy named Mark Medley. Let me get this here, make sure I got it right. He took over in '87 and was the head coach for 7 years. He never lost to Mount Juliet. His teams never lost to Mount Juliet. Mount Juliet never scored a point on a Mark Medley football team.
When we all got together last Friday for Coach Medley's celebration for his Hall of Fame and getting inducted into the Lebanon Hall of Fame, he told us the story. He told us how he actually got to Lebanon. And make long story short, I don't want to go into detail because he might not want everybody to tell everything. But he actually interviewed for an assistant job at Mount Juliet, and I'm gonna say the coach that interviewed him said some things to him that didn't sit well with him, and it's weird to think that Mount Juliet had a chance to hire Coach Medley on their staff. Well, man, you know, it really, it was bred in us in middle school. Now you gotta understand, in middle school, which is weird. You know, it's just, I guess it just goes from being a coach now. I kind of see at 48 years old how it works, because you know, some kids grow faster, some kids mature faster, some kids are bigger, faster, stronger in middle school. Some kids have not hit their growth spurt yet. Some kids have not fully developed, and we had all this talent at Walter J, but we couldn't get out of our own way. In middle school, I never was on a team that beat Mount Juliet, and it was bred into us then. You know, Mount Juliet's our rival. We don't lose to them, but we couldn't beat them, man. So when we got to be freshmen in high school, I mean, they didn't score on us when we were freshmen, and then in 4 years of high school, I was never on a team that lost to Mount Juliet. I was never on a team that Mount Juliet. They didn't cross our 50-yard line.
When there's streaks with the rivalry, it makes it more interesting. I say this, and the number may be wrong, 12 or 13 that they had won in a row before we won in 2021. And it's on video, so I'll say it again. The very first thing I said to our team after we won right out here was, we just flushed that streak, because literally I was tired of hearing about the streak. And when I got this job, I said it every year, every week on the Mount Juliet is the measuring stick. And you know, when you talk Lebanon football to Lebanon people, they don't. I mean, they go back and they don't care how many games I win. All they want to know: are you going to beat Mount Juliet? Are you going to beat Mount Juliet? We could go 9-1 and we don't beat Mount Juliet. There's a lot of Lebanon people will say we didn't have a successful season in our county, in our program. You know, I guess as long as they're always successful, and you know, they will be the measuring stick. And so we have a lot of respect, admiration for them. Last year, on July, I don't remember the date, but we had our 7-on-7 here at Lebanon.
Mount Juliet was at Lebanon's 7-on-7 workouts over the summer when Coach Gentry's dad was in failing health. Mm-hmm. Mount Juliet huddled their team around Coach Gentry and had a prayer for him, just out of respect.
Mount Juliet won the 7-on-7. I had to stay around. I'm running the tournament. I had to stay around to congratulate them, make sure that Tommy Bryan got a picture of them, put in the paper, and for me to put on our Twitter, congratulations to Mount Juliet High School, winner of the Lebanon 7-on-7. And, you know, that's not a pleasant thing to do as you're the Lebanon High School football coach, but, you know, they beat us in the quarterfinal match. Very contested game, and very, you know, they won a very emotional game against Oakland, and they're sitting there, they take the picture, and I congratulate him, and Coach Perry stopped his team, and we stopped, and he said what normal coaches say: I am a very, very competitive person. And I'm sure his team knows his personality better, much better than I do. They're with him daily, but I know for a fact Trey Perry is a very competitive person, just like I am. He stopped and he said, he talked about me, my father passing away. We had a, 5-minute kind of prayer talk. Most of his team come up, said, "Hey, Coach, I'm sorry." Hugged me, all the stuff that football rivalries are aside. Boom, they're in the, hey, we're all humans. At that moment, they just won a 7-on-7 tournament, which, in the summer, that's as good as you can get. Hey, we just won a tournament. Plus, they'd played Oakland. Oakland's been very successful. We just beat Oakland in a 7-on-7 tournament. Our juices are flowing. We're happy. We're tired. Hey, let's stop. Let's go. And again, the way you treat people is everything. And it don't have to always be this, which it's going to be. It's a rivalry. I get it. But it's about showing young men, hey, this is how you're supposed to treat people and how you act. And I appreciate their program for that.
Some other games that maybe have stood out.
The thing that sticks out in my mind, just completely off the charts, is the last game that we played. We're up 28-7, and I will probably be an old man sitting in a rocking chair or a recliner somewhere, rocking, shaking my head, saying, "No way."
This past year, I'm sure you'll get 5 different rundowns of it, but from my own perspective, we couldn't do anything right in the first half, and a lot of that was attributed to the way they played.
If you'd have told me at halftime 28-7, no way, and everything that could go wrong does go wrong. Every little thing we should have done, could have done, that we didn't do.
I think it was our first possession, tip ball, pick 6, and they're on us, and it's 28. They get a score right before the half. It's 28-7. And obviously we did some adjustments at halftime. We did a lot of adjusting at halftime. Some of that was the 6-inch space between their ears and that thing that pumps blood to the rest of their body. The hardest thing for me about the game was in the third and fourth quarter, we had to take threes a couple times, kick field goals when, and you're trying not to press, but everything in your body's saying press, so that you can get back in the game, have a chance in the fourth quarter. But we kept getting stops, and obviously late we had the score and the 2-point play. The overtime was actually, my opinion, well played. Like, I thought they made good calls. I thought we made good counters. I thought we made good calls. I thought they made good counters. You had kickers step up and make field goals I would never think about wanting to try to attempt with that on the line, and then we get the big turnover to end the game. And
number 0 picking up the ball and on the last play of the game and running down the sideline, and their kids are excited, and Coach Perry comes over and says, "Hey, Coach, I'm sorry." I'm like, "Hey, y'all just won a phenomenal game. You ain't got to apologize to me." I mean, their kids are supposed to celebrate. They are supposed to celebrate. It's our job to not let that happen. And
I was so shocked by the way it went. And I had to tell Coach Gentry and some of the staff that I'm at midfield when we get the turnover because I hear a whistle blow. I'm worried about the inadvertent whistle, and does that carry with it some kind, which it didn't, but does it carry some kind of extra down with it? Because I don't want Key Crowd to have another opportunity to get in the end zone. And, it turns out it didn't. It just kind of killed the play. But, yeah, wild, chaos.
3rd and 1, we don't get it. 4th and 1, we don't get it. Do I call a different play, different formation, different person, different shoulda, coulda, woulda all day long? It's a high school football game. You got 25 seconds, and you're depending on 15 to 18-year-old kids, and it's emotional. Some of them are tired, some of them are so amped up that they can't tell you their name. It is what it is. But that one, it hurts. And like I said, I've been doing this now 26 years altogether. It's one of the ones that, a handful of 5, that's probably the top 1 or 2 that if I could have back and go back to maybe 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, please. You don't get do-overs. It's life. You don't get do-overs. Like I said then, I said now, hats off to them, hats off to their young men. They did it. We didn't. Do I use it for motivation? Chuck Gentry uses it for motivation daily. Do our kids? Oh yeah, they haven't forgotten it, but they should have done something about it then.
Now, Green Hill is getting very good in a lot of sports. Wilson Central has had their moments as well. Even when those schools create their own rivalries head-to-head, and that could be with Mount Juliet or Lebanon or Wilson Central versus Green Hill, you still can't take away from the old school battle for Wilson County or the line at 109 or whatever you want to call it. I call it the best sports rivalry in this county.
There's a football game that's going to be kicking off here in about 5 minutes, and that is a very big deal. Lebanon comes in 3-4. Mount Juliet 7-0 on the season. Bob, you just don't know what happens in a game like this. A couple of bounces that go funny, you just don't know.
You're exactly right, Tommy. In a game like this where you have your rivals, you got Mount Juliet and Lebanon, drop the records. I mean, you could have one could be 7-0 and the other 0-7. It doesn't matter. They want bragging rights. They can remember the game last year. They want revenge.
Anybody that's listened to our radio broadcast before knows this game's special to me, to say the least, and I get a little excited. And I can't promise that I won't do that again. But I told my son when he walked out this morning, I said, if you got any doubts, just go back and get in the bed. He kind of looked at me. I said, I mean it. I said, this is a game. You cannot have a doubt about Tommy Bryan. You've got to come out of that locker room, and you got to be ready to go to war with these guys for 4 quarters. And when the brakes goes against you, you can't hold your head down. You got to fight back. I want to see if our Blue Devils could do it. Back up to you, buddy.
Play fake. Travers in trouble. He is going to be taken down for a sack. They brought the linebacker Simpkins, and Jewell was there as well.
Edwards looks for running room off the left edge. Edwards running, has some room on that edge, and Deuce Edwards is down the sideline out near the 45-yard line.
Attaboy.
Deuce Edwards bounces, takes off around the right side, and he will walk into the end zone for a touchdown, Big Blue. He hit a wall, but had the presence of mind to bounce it and took it all the way around the corner for a touchdown. Mount Juliet will field it at the 2. Spun around. Loose. We got it! Lebanon got it! Lebanon got it! Yes, sir! John Binion recovers that fumble as Lebanon's coverage men lit up the Mount Juliet return man. Handoff. Edwards running left. Edwards. Touchdown, Big Blue! Deuce Edwards off the left side as Edwards ran behind student body left. Tailback, Crudup, left side. Touchdown Bears. Crudup ran it behind Sam Gravely, probably their best offensive lineman. Play fake, he wants to throw. Throws it over the middle, and it is complete for a touchdown to Fiorita. The tight end slipped out. Wide, stinking Odom
open in the end zone. After a fair catch, you can take a free kick.
Yes, sir.
That was a fair catch with a penalty. It's going to give them 15 more yards. And if it goes through the uprights, it's 3 points. And I've been doing this for 30-something years, and I've never seen one.
Yeah.
Echeverria approaches it, kicks it, and he missed it. He pulled it. Hand it to Gian. Gian fights for yardage.
He's in there.
Gets it in there for a touchdown, Big Blue. He would not be denied behind the block of Dwayne White and gets it in for a touchdown.
Travers puts it down. Echeverria pushes it up, and it is automatic. Lebanon's defense does its job. Mount Juliet takes on 3.
4th and 1, Lebanon will leave the offense on the field. Edwards in the backfield with Mariah. Lebanon goes under center, and they will try the push. Mariah got under center, and they are going to measure this one.
That's first down, Tommy.
Yes, sir. On 4th and 1, Mariah with the quarterback sneak.
Tell you what, huge play right here. 4th down.
4th and 4. 3:25 to go in the game. Travers throws it in the flat to his boy Osborne. Makes a man miss. Osborne loses the football. The ball is out. It's short of the goal line, and there is a pile. Osborne made the catch. The ball came out, and Mount Juliet got it back. He's going to try to score, and he does. Quarterback sneak, Tyler Travers, 1-yard run, touchdown, 2:29. Bears take the lead.